Good evening. We're going to call the meeting to order. My name is Mary Maslowski. I'm the chair of the Harwich Historic District and Historical Commission. We are calling to order the meeting for June 21st, 2023. It is 6 p.m. We are here located in Town Hall in the small hearing room. According to Mass law, anyone who intends to record this meeting must first notify the chair. Hearing none. So is everybody in the meeting interested in the first matter on our agenda, which is the snow in?
Yes.
Okay, is there anybody here for a different matter? Okay, Julie, could you just go outside and see if anybody is looking to come in and we can make a little more room? So we can move this table forward a little bit and make room for a couple other chairs if need be.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, some more chairs, free up some chairs.
Absolutely. So before we get started, we'll start with the roll call, please.
Bob Doan.
Brendan Lowney.
Lynn Zalasak.
Julie, do you think everybody's in? Okay. So the first matter on our agenda is HH 2023-09. It's a public hearing for Witchmere Harbor Real Estate LLC, owner through their agent, Andrew L. Singer, with Law Office of Singer & Singer, was filed a notice of intent. The project proposes a full demolition to demo the entire structure and replace with the new hotel building. The structure is over 100 years old, according to the town assessing and state records, and is located at 23 Snow Inn Road, Unit 14, Map 8, Parcel P2-14.
Mary, I need to recuse myself from this one.
Okay. So there will be 4 members for this hearing, Andrew.
Okay.
All right. All right, so we'll start with, if you would please state your name for the record and give us your application, please.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good evening. For the record, my name is Andrew Singer, attorney in Dennisport, here on behalf of the applicant. With me at the table is Harry Wheeler, who is the project architect, and in the first row is Michael Charlotte, who is the general manager of Witchmere Beach Resort. Wanted to go through a little bit of history with you tonight, because obviously there's been some interest sparked by this request. Interestingly, interest that is very different than was sparked 10 years ago when we did virtually the same thing with this committee. Mr. Doan, for you, this might seem a little bit of deja vu because you were here 10 years ago. We're here for the Snow Inn Hotel building, so it's one of the buildings on the Witchmere property. It currently contains hotel rooms, offices, and the wastewater treatment facility for the building. If you're looking at the building from the north, so you're going down Snow Inn Road, the part on the furthest to the east, which is kind of a little bit lower, that's actually where the wastewater treatment plant is. In 2013, we requested permission to demolish not that part of the building, but the other part of the hotel building, which was going to then be replicated, and the wastewater treatment building was going to stay at that time. We went through we were before the committee, 5 or 6 times, did a couple site visits. There was a lot of discussion, a lot of review by the committee. And at the end of that initial meeting, the committee imposed a 1-year demolition delay. We ultimately came back and negotiated with the committee, and the committee approved a complete demolition of the building. At that time, it was never built, obviously. Now, that project also was much larger. It wasn't just the hotel building. It was going to be a new building to the south that was going to have 13 additional condominium units, 3-story building, 20,000 square feet or something like that. that was never built, and that's not part of this project. So what we're here before you tonight, and I know you don't look at what's coming in, but just what we're asking for now is permission to take down the whole building. The part on the, that was originally approved to be demolished, and then the part where the wastewater treatment building in, which is not nearly, I'm not even sure that part's 100 years old, but the first part of the building was. When we were before the committee the last time, went through a series of photographs, series of research on the building, and it was found by the committee, we had suggested it and they agreed, that while the original core of the building had been built in 1855, it had been expanded and renovated significantly since that time. And in findings of fact that we entered into with the then committee at that time, number 4 was, while the interior of the structure has almost completely been modernized over the years, and much of the exterior as well, the commission determined that portions of the north face of the structure are historically significant. So that was the part that you see when you're coming down Snow Inn Road. And so at that time, there was the agreement to replicate that portion of a facade. Again, the building was different because it was not going to be as total.
Just point of clarification, I think you said 1955, I think you meant 1855.
Oh, 1855 for the original
Okay.
part, yes, I'm sorry. That's interesting, I didn't even hear myself say that. That's interesting, no, definitely 1855.
Just want to clarify
Yeah.
it for the record.
And just for the record, that was in my narrative, I see it right here, 1855, so that was just a slip of the tongue. So the request now is a complete demolition. It's going to, there'll be a new hotel which will be going before the planning board and the Board of Appeals for in the future. This is a smaller project than what was then. However, what the applicant wants to do now is exactly what the applicant in the intent agreed to back in 2013, which was to, what they did the first time, and this is from a narrative, they endeavored to maintain the northern massing on the replacement building to be reflective of the corner tower elements and other traditional aspects of the original building. And we did give you copies of the proposed elevations, and that's exactly what the applicant is proposing to do again, is to honor the corner tower elements and the traditional aspects of the building. Also in the findings of fact from the Commission's first decision, number 6, the Commission found that the proposed alternative as set forth in the plan was found by the Commission to be acceptable because A, the revised massing on the north and west sides of the structure are reflective of the corner tower elements and other traditional aspects of the original building, and B, the structure incorporates traditional materials including divided light windows, 8/1, red wood roof, shingle roof, and white cedar siding. The applicant still agrees with all that and is proposing that. Now, the plans actually show 6/2 windows. If ultimately the planning board never wants 8/1, it's not a big deal. But the idea was to be reflective of those traditional elements, the traditional styling for the building. What I wanted to also mention, if I could, to the commission, we actually want to do something, we're proposing something this year that was not proposed in 2013. And that is to the extent feasible, during demolition, salvage and restore some of the older structural elements that are in the basement. I'd like to turn these out. There are some beams. There are actually a couple logs about 4 feet tall that were used as supports, and there's some brickwork. And so, I only have 3 copies, but if I could share. Okay, there you go. These are some photographs that I took in the basement last week. And you will see in them, as I said, some of the beams. One of the beams kids have been carving their names into for 60 or 70 years probably. Some of the older brickwork and some of the, those 2 logs, which I actually get a kick out of. I don't know that they're actually supporting anything anymore, but they are still there. So we are proposing, as part of your review, that to the extent feasible, those elements that can be salvaged will be salvaged and offered to be donated, to be preserved. Coming full circle to why we're here before you tonight, in your jurisdiction under Section 131.11 of the Town Code. At least the northern part of the building and you may find differently, but your predecessors found that the northern part of the building had historical significance. So that's step one. If you found no historical significance, case over and we're all done. But assuming that you would also find that the northern face and some of the west have historical significance, you then need to find that the request would substantially diminish the historic value of that which is historically significant. I respectfully submit that given the substantial and significant changes to the building over time, particularly everything above the foundation, and the proposal that is ultimately to be proposed to approve a new building consistent with this prior architectural style as we did before, we would ask you respectively to find that even if portions of the building are historically significant, that the request does not substantially diminish its historic value, and we'd ask you not to impose a demolition delay. Alternatively, if you do not agree with that, we would accept you imposing the demolition delay, and we would ask you to vote that, although I hope after discussion that you might agree to not impose it. With that, we're happy to answer any questions now or later, and we appreciate your time this evening.
So just one question for me. You said, to the extent possible, you would recover some of these beams and posts. Would the point be to repurpose them in some other way within the new facility, or?
Honestly, I don't think we've thought that far ahead. So I don't have a good answer for you. I'm not sure other that they necessarily would fit. You saw what they are. There's nothing gorgeous. So I don't know to what extent they could be repurposed on site, but certainly if they are salvaged, they could either be repurposed on site or donated and repurposed off site.
Okay, so let's start with questions from the board. Bob, would you like to start?
I'm going to, since I've already weighed in on
Okay.
this a few years, let's start with the new people.
All
Yeah,
right,
sure.
Brendan.
Is
Sure.
there an increase in height?
Will there be an increase?
I mean, it looks like the same stories are being there, but
It's the same number, so it's
It's
3
same
stories with a
stories.
walkout on the back.
Yeah. From an actual dimensional standpoint, I'd have to get back to you on that. I think it's within a foot or inches, but
Right.
I don't know the exact numbers, but we can get
but then
back
you're
to you.
adding the chimney, so, okay.
The chimneys are also to screen what is required now for mechanical, things like
Correct,
that. So any flues, things like that would not be, we're trying to screen them to be architecturally pleasing.
And then the, oh, thanks.
Yeah, it has the, like that corner there.
Yeah, yeah,
The roof goes, I don't know if that's.
yeah, I can see it. Yeah, I've got a picture right here. Increase in square footage?
Yes.
Yeah. Because you're capturing more of the second and third floors.
Yeah, and just part of that also is the treatment facility is going to be moved to another location on the property, so that would no longer be in the hotel building. Again, outside your jurisdiction, but that's where some of
It's
the
gonna be moved.
square footage is as well.
Okay.
Where's it gonna go?
It'll be underground, elsewhere on the property.
Yeah, that's all I had right now, Julie.
I just, do you have that?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So right now, when you drive up, there's like a pointed roof on the corner there? Like a column? Would that be, that's not gonna be incorporated in the new one, I take it?
I'm sorry,
I'm going by the,
Yeah, so,
That's what C's right here.
what would you call it?
Sure.
That's not gonna be there.
We
Oh, it's on your picture
It's all,
here.
it's right there.
yeah.
this might be a little easier, right, for everyone to read. You can see down below the massing as we move from Snowman Road, which is on the right-hand side of this picture, left into the property. There's a smaller roof element with a 2-story and this recess with a roof line. And then we have our tower element, which is existing, 3 stories, and then another kind of tower element towards the end. So this is very similar. This is the proposed. Again, that 2-story element here with a roof line, the new tower, the 3-story massing, and then an end cap. So we're trying to keep the same massing, same geometry, same proportions.
Yeah, I'd like to get maybe Bob's take on, losing the gable ends and that the old mansard style, pyramid top. I don't even know what we would call that, but just your take on losing those 2 elements and how significant they are.
And that was our primary objection.
Yeah.
And certainly was mine as I recall. And it really is not so much, I mean, it is when you're there, but it was the view across Wychmere Harbor and from the town public dock that it has a very distinctive style of that pyramid type, and then the other style similar. And that's what we really wanted to preserve, and that's what we originally came back with, is reproducing that. And that's what allowed the committee to go forward, because it was really the view from a distance. It's so iconic in Harwich that that's what we wanted to preserve. And unfortunately, I don't see this fitting in or looking that way. It's different, but it's still going to be different enough that people wouldn't recognize it as something that's been there.
Yeah, you'd have to lose the square footage or go higher to create that detail again.
I wouldn't know if you're going to lose the square foot.
Well, I'm saying if you wanted to create that, you'd have to,
But
yeah.
if you were to place something like that right where that is now, that bump out and
Mm-hmm.
the high part, you could just do the roof there, because across the harbor, you don't see anything down.
You
All
see
you
it-
see is the roof line.
You see the other
Is it
And
side.
that's the iconic part.
Yeah, it'd be nice to
as
see
far
it
as
from
I'm
that
concerned.
side.
If I may,
Yeah,
we'd be happy to recreate this roof line.
right,
The issue that we're up against isn't the square footage, it's actually the height.
right,
The
Yeah.
chimneys to screen the mechanicals aren't counted as height
Yeah.
right.
within the zoning code, but the
Right.
roof line would be. So we'd be happy to do that, but there'd be a conversation for an exemption
That's what I
for
meant
the
about
height.
you'd have to go higher
Yeah,
to create
yes,
that.
Yes.
And do you know how much higher though?
Proportionally, I think, again, it's non-occupied space, but to capture like, that top element was
Yeah.
probably about 5 feet higher than what we would do here. Again, I think architecturally, it would be happy to recreate that, and aesthetically, I think it'd be great for this project, just with the additional height request.
Yeah.
There are certain aspects that are excluded from, like chimneys, and he said cupolas to a certain height. I don't know that the tower element like that is or is not. I'd have to look at the zoning bylaw. It's not a historic question, it's a zoning question at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's already breaking 30 feet, is that correct? Is it, how high is it now?
35.
It's 35.
Even at that point,
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
within the zoning height.
Yeah, yeah, it's allowed, yeah.
but the new is below 30, or is 30?
We're at the zoning height. If it's 30, it's 30.
30,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you have precedence that you had something higher, right?
Yeah, how tall is, I don't know how tall that tower is right now, that's an, if that's,
Yeah.
you know, in the
I
bottom.
think
Well,
might
it's
be
certainly
up
the
there.
highest point.
Yeah.
Definitely the
Right.
highest point, yeah.
No.
So, I mean, I think you have precedence to go the extra 5 or 10 feet you need.
So certainly you do have greater scale and volume, but you also have that, again, because you're gonna have flood stage, because if I remember from the planning board hearings on your other renovations that you came before planning board a couple of years ago, your height certainly was higher because of whatever the flood stage
zone.
levels were.
To an extent, yes.
So, I have to agree with my colleagues that the turret is certainly iconic. I also appreciate the gable kind of end on the far left there as well, that I wish that roof line could somehow incorporate that.
So like the same roof line that.
Yeah, so that at least you had at the peaks, you at least had the same shapes that are reminiscent or at least attempt to reflect what was there before. And to Bob's point, you know, we look at things from the streetscapes, but also the public areas are the public harbor and from the water too. So, you know, those are, if there's a way for those to be reworked, I think that would go a long way
Yeah.
to, I mean, you're still gonna have, you obviously have more volume on the left-hand side of that picture, right? Because both the turret and the end cap with the gable cap on the far left is higher. But I think even if there's some way to get that roof line
Yeah.
in, then I think it goes a long way to making it at least more reminiscent of what was there and at least pointing back somewhat to history, and to the historical view. Yeah.
Certainly, we would do a recommendation, if you want to go back and ask for the higher height. We'd recommend it from a historical standpoint, certainly.
Yes, I'd be willing to do that as far as if there's a way for us to at least capture those
Those two, yeah, the corners.
those
there.
shapes.
I
If
mean,
nothing
the other
else.
massing, yeah, it's bigger, but it looks fine. I mean, the other parts, I don't think we have an objection to at all. It still looks like the same type structure. Just a little different architecture view of it.
Any other comments or questions from the board before we open it up to the public? No, okay, before we get started with the public, I just want to read in, we received a letter today from Protect Our Past. It was hand-delivered just before the meeting. It's dated June 21st, 2023. And it's addressed to the Historic District and Historical Commission of Harwich. Protect Our Past is focused on saving the historical identity of Cape Cod. Its streetscapes are key in preserving the cultural charm of this peninsula. When a structure such as the Snow Inn is on the docket for demolition, we take notice. Protect Our Past offered to meet with the owner of the Snow Inn and their lawyer, Andrew Singer, along with a preservation architect to evaluate what historic elements remain, what can be saved and incorporated into a new plan. Thus, its historic features and identity would not be totally lost. This is an educational program we offer at no charge. Sadly, we were turned down by the Witchmere Harbor Real Estate LLC. Protect Our Past recommends that we learn from the mistakes made during the demolition of the Harwich Exchange building in 1964. Once gone, lost forever, it was an irreplaceable landmark in Harwich. Consider the words of John Sawhill, our society will not only be defined by what it created, but for what it refused to destroy. Please take the time to review the consequences of the proposed replacement of what's left of the original Snow Inn. Keep in mind the possible restoration options using the original design and materials. Protect Our Past is still available to assess and assist here. Seriously take into consideration the architectural design being proposed, as it must blend in with the iconic historic streetscapes of Main Street, Harwich Port. Thank you, gratefully, Ellen. It's Ellen Bridges, founder and president of Protect Our Past. So, with that, we will open up to comments from the public.
Would you like people to
So,
sit in?
if you wouldn't mind, that would, so that people can access the microphone. So, there is a sign-in sheet on the table here. If people would like to come up and speak, ask questions, or give comments to the board, if you could sign in, please, and then you could sit at the, excuse me, could you ask, could you direct that to me?
I just thought if he was leaving.
Sure, I don't think he's leaving. I think we can put it back up. That's fine.
I can't see it with these things.
Oh, here,
That's chairs.
Harry, maybe higher, or I can hold it.
Or you can pull it this way.
Can't see with the chair there.
I would just like to see it a little bit more than,
I'm gonna block you if I do this, but.
I can be in a like this.
thank you.
Do I just have to sign in?
So there's a sign-in sheet right here, please. If you would put your name and address on it, please. And then you're welcome to sit at the table and give us your comments. And please speak into the microphone so that we can record it. Please come forward and state your name.
Because other people are ahead of me there. There's some other names ahead there. I don't know.
Okay, so if you could just state your name for the record.
Okay, David Plunkett, Winstead Inn and Beach
Yes.
Resort. We're down on 4 Braddock Lane and then right here in the center. I've seen the pictures of the new property and I think it's a vast improvement over what's there. Back in 1982 or 3, when Dr. Fennell bought the property and redid it, he reincorporated this tower thing, which I'm not a fan of, to be honest with you. He changed the whole character of that road, because that road back in the 80s, early 90s, used to be on Friday and Saturday nights, backed up with traffic to 28. And then he changed it into it was always a private club. The Thompson's Clam Bar was gone, and now it's been made a wedding venue, which I think works very well. And I think the people on Snow Inn Road should be appreciative of that they can get out of their driveways. I think this is a better use and space of what's there. The only things which probably are planning board issues, there were 5 parking spaces that's supposed to be on the right-hand side for Myrtle Beach that were never implemented. And we also want to maintain that walkway that goes over the roof of the clam bar, the old clam bar. And so, and I notice that's getting a little more and more. People don't really know it's there, but that was part of the covenant that Dr. Fennell signed to build what he built. So, I think this is a great rendition of what's here. I don't know how many units. Can I ask how many units you're looking to do?
It's 40.
40.
There are
Okay.
32 hotel rooms now, 40 proposed.
Okay. And all, but I think it would be an improvement over what's there, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Duncan, please sign the sign-in sheet.
He did.
Okay, perfect.
I know the routine. Good evening. My name is Duncan Berry from West Harwich, and I'm here as a board member of the Harwich Historical Society, speaking on behalf of that organization, not as a member of the planning board. I am delighted to be accompanied by the new president of the Harwich Historical Society, Anita Doucette, who is no stranger to this building. And I would like to read, if I may, a statement that our board corporately produced in the last couple of days. I thought would be worth sharing with your board, and I'm delighted to see that there's some alignment between what you all are saying and what we're thinking. So we would like to thank the HDHC for the opportunity to present the Harwich Historical Society's point of view on the proposed demolition and development of the Snow Inn site at the mouth of Wychmere Harbor. We believe that the submitted design merits closer scrutiny in terms of its suitability to the site and to its heritage, the ongoing connection to the village of Harwichport and the town at large. Snow Inn represents the last of the intact structures from the 19th century that bridge Harwich's maritime past with our identity as a resort destination. Fire and neglect claimed the Belmont and Melrose decades ago. Nestled neatly on the Sound and Harbor, Snow Inn represents the final flare of Harwich's legacy of hospitality, long a beacon of refuge, fine dining, glamour, and seaside romance. Part of what made this institution so central and enduring was its iconic silhouette and massing, the long roof line punctured by an upright tower, which itself is capped by a squat pyramidal structure. This very combination of shapes along the shoreline quickly became a signal for hospitality, rest for the weary traveler, and a veritable Land's End. While we can see that serious effort has been made to make the proposed new structure appear traditional, the design misses the mark for two reasons. It ignores the iconic value of the massing and profile of the existing structures as a source of value both for guests, for the town, and for the developer. This is not an insignificant point, because the original style, still discernible in today's building, was itself an extension of our earliest forms of building here. The deep and rich associations with these simple forms should be regarded as an enduring source of value for all parties. The proposed design misapplies residential features to domesticate a modern hospitality complex, with steep gambrel roof element being an historical form that has neither local nor historic significance in this context. Finally, this historically inaccurate motif is then abandoned on the sound side, where it reverts to being a strictly modernist exercise. The result is an architectural chimera, neither fish nor fowl. The traditional elements don't make sense and fail to mitigate or even hide the modernism which goes against the grain of nearly 4 centuries of seaside building culture in our town. The Harwich Historical Society lauds the developer's desire to build in a traditional manner. We believe, however, that the design as submitted deviates too radically from the value of Snow Inn's iconic massing and silhouette as an attractor, a glowing lantern at the waterline, poised as a sign of welcome to those on land and at sea. We urge the HDHC to request a design to conform more conscientiously to the inherited historic design of the existing structure. Thank you.
Thank you, Duncan. Anyone else wishing to speak?
May I just add one other thing?
Sure, come forward just so that we can capture you on the microphone, please.
People talking about historic design and how to keep it, and on, but years ago, there was a horrendous looking building called Seaview at the end, which was a cement building, 3 or 4 stories tall. I think what's sitting there now is far nicer and more welcoming to the entrance to the harbor, to the entrance to the town, than what was originally put up by the Thompson family years ago. that was just a 4-story cement building. Dr. Fennell tore it down and built the condos. I think they're much more appropriate.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone? This is your opportunity. Okay, hearing none. We'll go back to the board. Any other additional questions or comments that the board would like to ask the applicants? So any other characteristics? We haven't touched on the windows. I know the windows are 6/2s. I know Attorney Singer had mentioned 8/1s, I believe. Is there any comment from the board on any of the other aspects of
And
the building?
And if you have a thought of it, for whatever reason, 10 years ago, we were talking about 8/1s. I don't remember why, frankly. 6/2s, you don't remember either, Bob? Yeah, so
Yeah, that's like,
6 1/2, really.
sometimes the 8s were tough because to jam it all in that upper sash is kind of difficult. So,
Any
you're-
comments about the 6/2s?
none.
It looks like you are proposing black windows as opposed to white windows.
No, I think it's just
It's just the color,
red, the-
just from the.
the
okay.
thinness that just it's reading black, but everything's
Sure.
white.
So those are just all the things I wanted to ask before we go forward.
And,
Bob?
but you will consider going back and doing something with it? And how about the roof itself, maybe getting rid of the gambrel and going more pointed?
I think we can take a look at that and seeing how it can fit into the
Yeah.
manside roof and the tower. And I don't want to speak for Andrew, but any recommendations or assistance on the height for that component would be greatly appreciated.
I'll look at that, because I have to check the zoning bylaw. And just to be clear, because we're here, we're not the owners, so we can take what you say, we can refer it to them and see what Harry might be able to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to make any promises, but we'll see what we can do.
Yep.
And then we can discuss how the process.
And so our next meeting would be the third Wednesday in July, which I'm not sure I'm available. Let me look. And just for the record, we have 4 members. You would need 4 for all 4 of us for passage, which is why I'm pointing that
I
out.
think you only need a majority of the quorum, so if it's 4, it's 3, and if it's 3, it's 2.
Not sure.
It's not a planning, the planning board and the ZBA are super majorities, but I don't
We have
believe.
always treated this as so we're typically a 7-member board.
Oh, you are? Oh, I
So
thought
we
you were,
have
oh, then
vacancies.
it's 4, okay.
So-
Sorry.
So, and we always
4 is
treated it
okay.
like 4 is our
I thought you were a
our quorum.
5-member board. The computer, the website must not be showing
We
everybody.
have significant vacancies.
Oh, that's true, we lost one, yeah.
So let's see.
Well, if
Look
the,
at July, I'm not available the 3rd week in July.
that's the 19th, I'm not either.
Okay, so, I would be willing to, if the other board members are willing, I'd be willing to do a meeting on the 26th. I don't know what we have for the 19th. We may still have to have a meeting on the 19th anyway,
Yep.
depending on what's posted. But I could do the 26th, or if you wanted to go into August, it would be the 16th of August.
Give me 1 second.
Sure. Are you available on the 26th?
Yes, I'm free.
Let me check right now.
Both of those.
Both are
19
okay,
and
okay.
26.
And actually, we do have August 2nd as a reserved spot.
Okay.
Historic.
Okay.
I have that as a contingency, but 26 would be fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, I could do August 2nd too. I
Yep.
just, the only date for me is the 19th.
So I'm gonna be gone for 2 weeks in September, so if we can get it.
Okay, yeah.
It's bigger than what's there now. Is it the same size or is it bigger than what's there now?
Did we come up with it, prefer sooner rather than later, so
Okay.
if you're able to do July 26th, great.
So the four of us can do July 26th?
Okay, and it just have to be a posted meeting. Yep, and we're available, sure. Okay.
So that being said, I would entertain a motion to continue the public hearing on HH 2023-09 to Wednesday, July 26th, no earlier than 6:30 PM. It will likely be in this room, however, it may be in another room depending on what availability is.
You said 6:30.
Yeah, you mean
6
6?
o'clock, I'm sorry, no earlier than 6 PM. That's a planning board holdover.
Right.
I'll second that.
All right, so who's making the motion?
I'll make the motion.
Bob's made the motion, Julia's seconding the motion. All in favor of continuing the public hearing till July 26th, no earlier than 6 PM, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Andrew, the office will have a continuation form for you to sign. I don't think I've got any
Okay.
with
Also,
me.
I'd like to get copies of the letters, whatever letters. you have,
Absolutely.
too.
We'll ask Rachel to make you a copy, okay?
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure.
Are there any things
Did Duncan leave
smaller
us a copy of his
available
letter?
that we can look at that, seeing as it's leaving?
I'll give you, you can have mine.
John, if Duncan is still out, John Doucette, I
So I
am.
heard your question, so this is the existing
If Duncan
footprint.
is
Sorry, I came in
outside
late,
still,
but I had-
Duncan, could I get a copy of that letter?
Existing
For the
footprints?
record, okay, thank you.
So
New-
it is on
new-
the existing?
Yeah, it's on the existing
It's not
footprints.
bigger or higher?
Yep, and here's this.
Okay,
And they're staying within the height that's existing.
okay.
Do you want the
One
color
of the
copies?
questions I wanted. Sure.
So we really shouldn't, we've continued the
Yeah,
public
yeah,
hearing, so we
sorry.
really can't talk about it more tonight. You're
Just
welcome.
asked if there was a copy or something.
I understand, I'm not, ma'am, I'm not trying to be, you're getting awfully defensive. I'm just telling you, we have closed that part of the public hearing, so we shouldn't be talking, we can't talk to you about it. But you're welcome to,
Here you go.
to take a copy, and you're welcome to always go to the office, because they have everything on file. Okay, the next matter on our agenda is a public hearing for HH 2023-10. The matter is Carla Blanchard, owner, through their agent, Jason Muto, with Muto Inc., who's filed a notice of intent. The project proposes a partial demolition to demolish 2 chimneys, roofing, siding, and windows. The structure is over 100 years old, according to the town assessing and state records, and is located at 57 Freeman Street, map 23, parcel R3. Good evening. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Jason Muto, Muto Construction.
All right. Could you please go over your application with us? If you could walk through your
So,
application.
what we're proposing to do is demolish 2 chimneys, one in the rear of the building, which is not visible from the street, the other is on the right side of the building. In the place of the chimney on the right side, our customer would like to put a gas fireplace. The windows that we're proposing to replace are like for like in style and design and size. Siding is white cedar, roofing is asphalt, similar color to what is currently existing.
Okay. Bob, would you like to start with this one?
I stopped by the house and looked. I don't even know if that chimney that can be seen is original to that house. It looks like it was enlarged or added on.
Yeah, and they're all in very poor shape.
Yeah.
Both were leaking into the home.
Can't see it from the road anyways. That was definitely original, I think. But other than that, I had no other questions about it.
Okay. Lynn, we'll just note for the record that Lynn Zalasek has rejoined us for this public hearing. Lynn, do you have any comments on 57 Freeman, which is in our current?
You know, you said that they want to take the side chimney down and put in gas.
Yes, ma'am.
Are they going to, is it going to be a gas chimney or anything?
It's going to be a zero clearance So it'll be in essence a box out on the side with a vent. We could position the vent so that it was, not visible from the street, facing the rear of the yard.
Great.
The only question I had.
Thank you. Brendan?
I have none.
Julie?
Are you gonna save that stained glass window or no? I know you can't see it from the road.
Yes.
That was it? Everything else is like tonight, right? Windows.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So we are in a public hearing. Is there anybody in the public that wishes to speak or have any questions? Hearing none. Is the board ready for a decision?
Yep.
All
I
right.
move to close the public hearing.
All right. Motion has been made by Bob, seconded by
Me?
Lynn. To close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any in opposition? Hearing none, the public hearing is closed. I'm just looking for my agenda. There it is. All right, so who would like to make a motion?
Motion to approve case number HH 2023-10, filing date of May 9th, 2023, hearing date of June 21st, 2023. Property address is 57 Freeman Street, map 23, parcel R3. Owner is Carla Blanchard. Applicant is Jason Muto with Muto Inc. BCRD recording information, cert 123417. Year built 1922. Request for a partial demo. Historical significance, it is listed on the town's historic property inventory. The proposed demolition would not destroy or substantially diminish the historic value. Determination, no demo delay period imposed, no conditions.
All right, so motion has been made by Brendan. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been made by Brendan, seconded by Julie. All those in favor of not imposing the demolition delay, say aye.
Aye.
Any in opposition? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I might steal yours too.
Oh, yeah, sure. I kind of hacked it up as we go, but sorry.
Yeah, that's okay, yours is salvageable.
You and Witchmere? Curious what was done
There's a lot of people out in the hall.
By the fire association.
Okay.
Here we go. Do we need to ask?
Do you want to go get the next group? I think they're on the hallway.
I'm sorry?
I'm going to get the next group. I think they're in the hallway.
Oh, if they are, yes,
For
please.
Bank Street, right?
Yes.
A lot of people in the
Please.
hallway.
There's people talking in the hallway too. I don't think it's everybody for Bank Street.
That's how it works.
Okay, we'll give people a second to get in.
Round two.
Yeah, right?
Just so we're good.
Hello, we'll give you folks a second to settle in and then we'll open the public hearing. All right, the next matter on our agenda is to open the public hearing for HH 2023-11. It is the Harwich Fire Association owner through their agent Joe Rigo, who has filed a notice of intent. The project proposes a partial demolition, replacing roofing, windows, siding, doors, garage doors, back stairway, trim, and install a veneer on the foundation. The structure is a historic building according to the town assessing records and is located at 203 Bank Street, map 23, parcel B3. And just for the record, we, prior to town meeting, had placed this building on our historic inventory because its age was slightly less than the 100 years. So good evening. Thank you. If you could state your name for the record, and we will.
Joe Rigo.
Bruce Young?
Thank you very much for coming in this evening. Please walk through your application, your questions for us.
Okay, application I think was pretty clear cut. Going through here, as you read in your title there, replacing roofing, replace all the windows, replace all the man doors, the garage doors. There's a back stairway to replace with doing the siding and trim. And then in the front, we're looking to put a brick veneer on the front section of the building. The reason why we're doing this is the materials there are deteriorating. It's very, very wet inside. We have it temporarily covered right now with some tarps, but it's just been in neglect for a while. We're trying to bring it back to its 1929 appearance. There was some issues there where it's like a terracotta brick foundation, which looks like brick in old pictures, but it's not really. It's more of a structure than a veneer or a sheathing. That's why we're looking to do the brick over that. Plus, it's been stuccoed, which is going to be pretty difficult to remove. The history of the lot, you guys know, it was a municipal fire station since 1929. It was built in 2829 for the first fire truck of the town, which our fire association owns. We're mechanically restoring it ourselves right now, and we want to make the showpiece of the original building, the original truck. After that, it was the harbor master's office and workshop. In our drawings we gave in the application, it should depict pretty much what the building would look like, and I think at this time, if you guys had questions about some of the things we had, I would love to entertain that.
Sure. So, what's the board's pleasure? Do you want to ask questions about the drawings, materials? Who'd like to start? Go for it, Bob.
Yeah, the first question I have is there a fire escape on the north side now, or is that an addition?
So on the north side, we did draw a fire escape stairway addition. We're working on the future of the interior of that building, and if we were to occupy the second floor, we looked at this, we're going to need a second means of egress to make it more appropriate. So that is an addition. That is something that I'd love to discuss with you guys, because I did see that in your packet of suggestions and recommendations as you prefer them inside, but we would like to try to get that outside.
I'm not sure. It's actually building code, I think.
It did refer to building and fire.
There's no interior stairway now?
There's one interior stairway now.
And would that stay?
That would stay, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's more of a building department issue than historic as far as...
Working with your department, your committee here, we could try to make it look as appropriate as we can. Whatever materials you think would be appropriate, that's something we're open to.
Now, are you proposing black windows?
We are proposing black windows.
Now, that's certainly not the way it was.
That's not the way it was. According to the black and white picture, it looked like it was a white. I don't know exactly what the color was. The reason we picked this color is because we did these drawings, and we made, you know, it's a computer, it's great. We made it white, and then we made it black, and we felt it just looked much better as black.
Looks like you have a sample there maybe, perhaps, for people to look at?
This is John Domos, our builder. And we have Tony Pagliaro, our mason, with us.
So I think the configuration is 6 over
6.
nothing. Yeah, 6. This is 4, but for size purposes, the 6 over nothing, so it matches the existing. And these can get ordered in black. So it's
The window frame would be black, but the trim around the window would still be the white AZAC.
Yeah. So the window's fiberglass on the outside, wood on the inside.
well, it's a powder coated.
Yep. And would you do the simulated divided light with the spacer bar or without, or
Just like this.
just the applied grills with the spacer bar? Okay.
Yeah.
So to me, this window is very similar to, you know, the Anderson window comes to us all the time. This is very comparable. It's almost better than the 400 series because the 400 series has this applied, the way they apply the glass, it's a little chunky. This has a cleaner look and more historic. So if they're going to do a full divided light with the spacer bar, this is a great window for that.
Yeah.
So yeah, good choice.
So John, the divider bar, spacer bar, compared to the divided light, that's what he's talking about?
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah, you have it there. Yeah.
Yep. All right, thank you.
They changed it all the time. I think it's called the FDL now. So
Full as
actually, they changed it to SDLS. So yeah.
That was off their website.
Yeah.
You know. at
We're
the
just
time.
interested in applied grills, so
I
they're
completely-
never removed.
Completely understand.
So just for
They're not going anywhere.
great. Do you want to run through
Yeah.
the materials?
What's that?
What's that?
No, and the original doors, what were they?
The garage doors in the front. I'm not certain of the material of the original doors. They most likely were wood,
Yeah.
and that is a good topic I'd like to talk about. So the original doors were wood, and they were swing-out doors, and they were half solid, and then lights
Yeah.
on the top half. We can get that style, but we were looking to see if we could get all lights so we could show the memorabilia and the antique fire truck. They're very hard to find swing-out doors unless you custom make them. Overhead Door was the only company we found that could produce this for us, and it looks like an aluminum doorway that fits in like a slider, and that way it's built onto its own frame and it's able to swing in and out. I guess the swinging in and out is the most difficult part. So these were things that they were able to quote us for.
It's like a bifold door, but it's working opposite of what you would normally pull open.
Right.
You have to push them out.
Yeah. Yeah, my observation is really the black is not certainly original. It's certainly the current trend.
Understood.
Everyone's doing it, and it
Understood.
does look very sharp. I don't know what some of the other board members feel about
If you look
that.
at some of the pictures, it almost looks like it was a forest green or a really dark green.
We heard rumors that some of the colors were like a baby poop green or something like that.
Well, the forest green would make sense in that time
That
frame.
it does.
Yeah, what it-
That is true. Yeah. You know, I know you dressed the bricks. I don't know, has that changed at all? The tile or the brick facing around it?
The-
Did present that before. I
The
think.
brick veneer in the
Yeah,
front.
veneer.
So,
And we were fine with it.
Yeah, what's great about the brick veneer is meeting with the mason. I originally brought up the veneer, the tile-looking brick, and with great recommendations, go with the full brick. Building department was pretty supportive in working with us on that, and we can't disagree that would be the better product. We think.
Somebody came in with bricks. Did you have?
We have bricks.
If you have them, you might as well show them
Let's
to
see
us so we can see them.
Oh, my goodness.
One for each.
Yep.
There we go.
There we go. Oh, boy.
So we need to kind of lay them down because this is the face of the brick, as everybody knows. Sure. And the reason why I brought so many is because these brick all have a color range. Very few brick today you can find that are just one color. And I really don't think that's aesthetically pleasing at all, nor is it time period pleasing. This is the Glen Gary Company, Glengery. They've been making bricks since the late 1800s. They've been making this brick since the 1950s, early 1950s. Most brick today are wire cut brick. The material is extruded out of a machine like toothpaste. The wire comes down and cuts it, and it makes them look perfect. This is a molded brick. The mold is sand struck, dampened, sand struck, and then the materials put in the mold, dried out in the sun for a while, and then put in the kiln. That gives it a sandy looking textured surface, and it sort of rounds over all the edges, and it's not perfect, which is probably the best thing we could do. About it.
Any questions or comments on the bricks?
No.
And everybody's.
They look great.
I mean, I personally like the range of color
Color.
changes. I think it's typical of
And
what's
that
going to
they're not
happen.
perfect.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
You
the
know,
best brick
I should
presentation
do
we've
this. I'm sorry I don't have copies for you, but
We'll
this
just
is
put one in the record.
what the material looks like in a panel.
Yep.
It's a little easier to see what's going on than if I bring you 5 brick.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay?
Can I steal one for the record? We'll just put it in with all the
You may have it. You got a bad one.
I think they both
Oh, they're
did.
both bad.
It's the printer. It's
see,
more
Just when
than
you
Yeah.
thought you had the perfect
Right.
brick presentation.
Of course, the printer ran out of ink at 5:30.
That's what happens whenever you need it.
Right, exactly. Okay, all good?
Yep.
All good,
Okay,
thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
So what other materials we have? You're talking about AZAC for the.
AZAC for the trim, yep.
And I think we talked about AZAC before, that we're generally okay with AZAC as long as it's painted.
Yep.
And that you don't use the caps, correct?
No Cortex screws.
Yeah, and then just for, under the eaves, where it's got the beadboard already, we just like to go with the AZAC beadboard too, so that matches up the eaves underneath.
Which is what's in there now.
It's the same thing that's there now, it's just, we want to go with the AZAC as well.
So you do the B-board side, not the flat.
Correct.
It would be like this would be up on the, you'd be seeing this on the eaves. Same thing that's there now.
And then we're talking shakes.
Then we get.
Shakes or shingles,
And
whichever you want to
then,
do
we'll
first.
do the roof. We like to go with a weatherwood shingle, if that's okay.
So in
Then
your
the-
package, they chose the max depth, which is the higher end of this shingle. So it gives a little more depth and more shadow lines, so it's a little beefier. So that's a good choice as well.
Okay. Then the only other question that we have is the sidewall shakes. We would like to have you look at a composite summer house shake. They're fairly new. They have a 20-year fade on the shingle and a 50-year warranty. I know that you're a little bit leery
Is that a
of
big panel? Is it like a 3x5
It's a panel, yep.
And you get it together?
put that on. And I know that you kind of, these are a bleached shingle. These will bleach out gray. But we're just looking for your recommendation. I know.
Yeah, can I sample, see the sample? now?
Yeah.
You have the book too.
I get this. This is the.
Thank you.
We're looking at that as maintenance wise, as 50-year warranty and a 20-year no fade. They just did the side of Mid-Cape Center with these. They did these in John Nelson Way too, in all those apartments. They put these on. They're a little bit cheaper than the shake, but
What do they go over? I'm just curious. What's going to be underneath them? Is
Well,
it
there'll be an
just
underlayment,
right on the.
so a vapor barrier, you
Yeah.
know, so it's gonna,
Tie back or something like that.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah. It can't hurt to ask, Mr. Donuts.
You just have to order your shakes 8 months in advance.
Yes.
yeah.
So my only other question, is there anything in between the two? Or are they?
You can go with a dipped shingle, a gray, or a double dipped gray, which is a little bit more solid color.
And what are the other, I know there are,
It's like Hardy Plank?
yeah, and those would probably price them out.
Probably. I mean, they do make individual, PVC shingles, but they're very expensive. So the choices would be something like this, or you might as well just do regular white cedar and let it just
Yeah.
fade.
Right.
Even a single dip or double dip is gonna, depending on what side of the house, it's gonna change.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you recommend regular cedar, not bleached? Is that what I'm hearing?
These ones you can't
I
get.
don't have it.
You can't get them.
Do you have an opinion on it, or I just want to go back to what Mr. Doan was saying about the trendiness of the black doors in the windows. I mean, I didn't see it until he said it, and I get it. The fire station doors, I get it. It looks nice. I mean, the white windows. You know,
So I have one question about the
Yeah.
black, because it came up in a conversation with a friend who was doing some renovations, and the comment was made that the black fades in the sun. So I guess that's my question. Are you?
this will be power coated from the factory. I don't think you're going to have
Okay.
major issues with that at all,
Okay.
especially overhead.
And
door.
that
Yeah.
was just my
The door is a powder coated door.
Yeah, and it's through overhead door. And
that was just my question.
I don't think that
because
would
it
be an
came up
issue.
with somebody putting black
Do you
There's-
feel like
windows and black shutters
painted
in their
black-
house.
Painted black trim fades probably, I mean.
It was, they were talking about putting black windows in, and their contractor had commented to them that the black windows can fade over time. So
Yeah.
where the source of
Yeah.
that came from, I don't know. I just, I
know-
raised it as a question because it was,
I would be,
it was
we would be
said.
concerned of it fading too. We wouldn't want that. I mean, but I do know that we're picking one of the premier windows out of the lineup of windows. So maybe there's a difference if you were to buy a cheaper. That's my only idea I would have on that.
and I'm just asking because it was, like I said, it was a conversation that came up in the last.
There is a slight
months.
overhang on those front garage doors too that sticks out 4 feet as well
Okay.
to help protect those
Understood.
doors as well.
Understood.
I personally think the black doors with the red brick and the windows with the white trim and the cedar shingles give that place a really sharp look, but we're here for your opinion as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think just the white cedar would soften it. And even the weatherwood color that you're picking, not black on the roof, I think that would soften it all. But I do like the black. I do like it. I get it. I like that look.
So what was it on the shingles, the sidewalk? Was it dipped or
So
not dipped?
We're
just
still,
white cedar? Let it fade?
Can't
we
get-
can't get them.
I know you can't get them, so you're looking, right, that is a problem.
So I
Yeah.
ordered 20 square, which is a lot of shingles.
Yeah,
And it was 4 months ago that I came.
right.
So,
It has been a challenge getting them.
so these dipped ones you can get anytime.
When you're starting the project?
Tomorrow, we hope.
Tomorrow. All right, well, let's fix it. Let's pick this up.
July 5th.
So the single and double dip
Yeah.
are in stock.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah. And what color were you thinking there if you did a single?
What, the Enviro bleach?
Yeah,
That's what these are,
okay.
the Enviro bleach. And then these will just turn up to a soft gray.
But still, I see the weather.
That works.
Yeah.
These are weather better.
Yeah, we don't want to stop you from what you do. It's the same product.
So
but,
this,
yeah.
so this is what you can get as opposed to what you've ordered.
Yeah, we
Understood.
can get these.
And this will fade over time.
Yeah.
It will go.
Yeah.
It will go eventually to silver.
The-
Just like
Yep.
Like I think the East Harwich Dunkin' Donuts out there, they had those, and you could see it's a gray.
Yeah.
Looks like a regular.
This will be a more uniform gray when they start to weather then.
Right.
Dumb question, what's the difference between a single dip and a double dip?
It's like a semi-solid and a solid. The more you paint something, the darker it gets.
Okay.
It will just have more UV protection over the years.
Yeah, more.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Did
with
anyone
the-
like the beach house shake that was passed around?
This-
from a distance. For me, it just, it, I know it's probably not flimsy, it feels flimsy, and it just feels like
Plus, that would add a J
a
channel.
vinyl siding
Yeah.
that just is,
If it's too even.
Plus, would that add a J channel around all the trim and
Yes.
window? Yeah, so it's gonna add an extra detail to all of the trim casing. You got this little J channel where that receives the shingle.
Haven't used it as yet.
Yeah.
Just as Bruce said, they just put it in the mid-cape as kind of display.
Mm-hmm,
Looks great from a distance.
yeah.
It's your preference.
Just out of curiosity, what are you doing for lighting? outside?
Exterior lighting. We got a quote from Nauset Lantern for a different array of all their great stuff. Our main goal is we're, I don't know if our sign's in the packet here. It was in my CPC article, but we want to recreate the original sign.
Right.
And we would like to get a copper gooseneck or some kind of a canopy to light the sign up. And then obviously code states you have to have lighting at doorways, so we would do some kind of lantern, copper lantern at the doorways, man doors and the front and back doors. That's what we're looking to do. They won't light up yet, but they'll be there. Because we don't really have electricity, but we will.
over time you will.
Yes.
Over time. And we're on the longest day of the summer, so you'll, of
Yes,
the year,
yes,
so.
we got time, we got
We've
time.
got some daylight to last you for a couple of months, at least. Any other questions or comments or issues? Would anybody from the public like to comment? Anyone? Hearing no one. Oh, yes, chief.
Oh,
Please, if you could just state your name for the record,
Norm
please.
Clark, I just want to emphasize that we really strive to use Harwich contractors as well. You know, keep it local. John has a history with Bank Street and that firehouse, so, you know, and Tony lives by me on Long Road, so, I mean, that's our goal, to do that, keep it local.
That's great.
all the way around.
Understood.
John
Thank you.
graduated from Harwich High School.
Oh, Lynn.
Yeah.
Small towns. Small towns. Okay, so no comments from the public. Anything else from the board? Is the board ready to close the public hearing?
I move close public hearing.
All right. Lynn has made a motion. Bob has seconded to close the public hearing. All in favor?
aye.
Any in opposition? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, who would like to take a stab at the decision? Bob, Brendan, who would like to?
Motion to approve case number HH 2023-11, filing date of May 17th, 2023, hearing date June 21st, 2023. Property 203 Bank Street, map 23, parcel B. Owner, Harwich Fire Association, Joe Rigo. Rio,
yep.
Rigo. Recording information BK35530PG91, year built 1929. It's a partial request for demolition. Historical significance, it is now listed on the town historical property inventory. Proposed demolition would not destroy or substantially diminish the historic value. And determination, no demolition delay period imposed, and conditions would be materials given.
Materials, so if you'd like to list
Yeah.
out what they are?
Sure. Get that. Landmark Pros Weatherwood Max Def. It's MAXDEF.
As the next definition.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Shingles, right?
Yep. Siding, no, that's roof. Siding will be single dipped.
Single dip or the bleach?
Which one would
The
be?
Enviro bleach?
The Enviro bleach, okay.
Shingles.
Sorry.
Enviro bleach. Are they an enviro bleached cedar?
Yes.
And then
Doors?
doors as submitted from overhead door. Trim will be AZAC or PVC. To be painted.
Correct. White.
Okay.
Eaves and soffit. E-board side PVC to be painted. And windows, Marvin Integrity? Integrity.
Oh, excuse me, elevate.
Oh, sorry, they changed the name, right? So they switched it.
What's it called?
Elevates. And, let me get that real quick. It's the full divided light, but they're calling it something different. Hold on one second. So the SDLS, or you can want to spell it out, simulated divided light with spacer bar.
Spacer. Okay. And are we designating color? Are we okay with the black?
Oh, black.
Yeah.
Black windows.
And then I feel like we missed the bricks.
Oh, and brick veneers.
Glenn Gary's.
Glenn Gary's. As presented.
Sure don't want to shop that around.
Okay, anything, I think we got it all?
I think that's it. Yeah.
All right.
Good job.
Thank you guys
Thank you
very
so much.
So, motion has been made by Brendan, seconded by
Second.
Julie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any in opposition? Hearing none, motion carries.
Lynn, was your father so I looked into that. There was nothing in the station for the picture that you asked about last time I met with you guys. I put an inquiry into some retired harbor master people, and they said they're not sure of it, but they all referred me to Tom Leach. He said he would know everything.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or he said he would know everything or have it, and I haven't gotten to him yet. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually for Bobby's stepdad,
Yeah.
so
Okay. So
not to worry.
nothing was in there, and I tried. Sorry.
No, my dad was a police officer. His stepdad was the
okay.
assistant harbor
Okay.
master.
Okay.
Small town, nothing else to do.
Some of these things they disappear, and it's horrible. I mean,
Thank you for checking.
we've had some.
Thanks so much for your help.
Thank you.
Thank you, Colin.
Great job.
Nice
Thank
to
you.
see you. Say hi to Pam for me. Lord, I haven't seen him since. I don't think we made it till 40th or 20th.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is the public hearing for HH 2023-12. It's Royal Apartments LLC owner through their agents, James Bustamante, who has applied for a certificate of appropriateness to alter a building or structure in the Harwich Center Historic District. Alterations to include fence, gate, house numbering, lights, masonry, parking and walkways, landscaping, and features. The subject property is 328 Bank Street, map 41, parcel N4. Thank you. If you could state your name for the record, please.
Of course. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For the record, my name is James Bustamante with Longfellow Design Build. I'm here on behalf of my clients, Royal Apartments LLC. A couple of you I may be familiar to. I was here in March for a certificate of non-applicability for the shutters, exterior siding, trim, and other windows and roof. I'm here tonight for a certificate of appropriateness for, as Mary mentioned, the fence, house numbering, lights, masonry, parking, and landscape and features. To go down that list, for fencing and for gates, we are proposing installing a new concrete pad for the dumpster area with a wood fence and aluminum poles around the dumpster. We're proposing to install a new wood fence on top of the retaining wall. I'll get to the retaining wall once we get to the masonry section. For house numbering, we're replacing the existing house numbers on the building to 3-inch black numbers fixed to the building per fire code. For lighting on the exterior, the first picture that you'll see is for the light poles with that's the top of the poles, and then it's an aluminum base. And then for the exterior lighting, I've actually brought a change for you tonight. That we've opted to go with lantern style lighting in black, as opposed to the modern style lighting that you see presented before you now. This did come at a recommendation from the neighbor, Mr. Plunkett, in the audience tonight, and we took his suggestion very seriously, and we agreed with his suggestion and decided to make that change. For masonry, we're proposing to install new concrete paver block structural retaining wall designed by a structural engineer. For parking and walkways, we're proposing to install new concrete walkways and replace the existing bricks as needed in existing locations. A lot of them have been overrun by weeds and everything, so we plan to just kind of pull up some of the bricks and relay them in the existing locations. We are planning to, or we're approved at the planning board to add a new parking on Bank Street to include one accessible parking spot and a new wood ramp and landing. It would be PT lumber on the front as well, on the Bank Street side. For landscaping, we're planning on planting new, per the plans, Alberta spruce, emerald green arborvitaes, and accent everything with black mulch with a steel band, and extend the existing hedges on the side street to match the existing. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have at this time.
Great. Bob, would you like to start?
Sure. On the fencing, you presented the dumpster, which is way back and down very low, I believe. But were you going to do anything on fencing on Bank Street? Is existing fence there now?
I believe that's staying existing fence to stay there now.
It doesn't show on the plan. It looks more like you're putting landscaping in. I could be wrong.
The existing white picket fence that's there now will be staying as is. On the Bank Street side?
On Bank Street side, not the Powell Street side.
It's just white picket fence.
Yeah, it's just,
Existing elimination,
yeah,
possibly painted match.
yeah.
I think it's just vinyl paint now, vinyl fencing now.
I think it's I believe it's a wood fence. And I think if anything, we would just touch up the paint, but that's just to remain existing.
Okay. And regards to, okay, what's the surface of the pull-in on the Bank Street side with the new,
It's crushed shell.
and that's
Shell.
going to stay crushed shell?
That's correct.
Okay, the parking space for the handicap, that I assume has to be asphalt or some other method? No?
I wouldn't think it could be crushed shell.
I wouldn't think so.
Asphalt.
I don't see that reflected on the plan, so I think that should be defined. Okay. On landscaping, one thing that's difficult for me to understand on the landscaping is you don't have any good kind of like views of what the landscape would look like, and what my concern is the view of the parking. Because right now, you can pretty clearly see the parking spots, and that is under the historic. Parking is actually falls under us. And our concern, or my personal concern, is that it's not covered enough right now, and I'd like to see landscaping elevations on that side. Now, I'm not just concerned down below, but certainly what you can see from the street. So I'm looking for some elevations. I see you're gonna keep a couple existing trees, it shows that.
Correct.
But it's a little, I'm not really sure what it's, I think they're marked out with some additional, yeah, that shows some additional plants, but it doesn't show any elevations of what it would look like from the street. So I would like to see your landscape architecture to show us an elevation of what that would look like along the street. So elevations. And you said the walkways, if they're now brick, they're going to remain brick?
That's correct.
You're not going to remove any of the existing brick to put in asphalt or cement, rather?
Looking at the plan where it says new concrete walkways, those are new concrete walkways, not over brick. That's correct.
It says remove existing sidewalk and reconstruct new sidewalk. So that's what, I'm not sure what that is now and what it will be.
Concrete.
It's currently concrete.
Where is the brick then? Front or?
It's on the parallel street side going up to that side door. There's brick walkways going up to the side door on the parallel street side.
Okay. And that side door stays?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. Then I am very concerned about the lighting. You solved one problem. So these lanterns are going to go on all side lighting?
That's correct, on the side of the structure.
So let's just take a look here. So none of these?
That's correct.
Be anywhere?
None of them.
Be seen?
Correct.
Or this?
That's correct.
Or that round half moon or something?
That's correct.
And those lights would be?
Lantern.
Lantern, and what will be
Black.
in
The
it?
finish is black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what kind of bulb in it? It says it's a CFL bulb? Do you know, it's not showing me the color of that in Kelvin. Is that going to be 3,000?
Do you want the lumen?
Well, lumen, probably not quite, well, we should know the lumen of what's intended there as well as the color.
So it could be white, it could be amber, it could be.
In other words, yeah,
any-
there's 3,000, 4,000, or 5,000, basically.
I think the intention was just to be white bulbs.
Well, it should, we're looking for, we're trying to bring everything down in the district from the bright white lights, which is your 5,000, down to 3,000, which is more of your amber, kind of more of an amber, more traditional looking light.
Provided that it meets the candles, we'd be willing to drop to 3,000.
That does what?
Provided that it meets the candles required for safety.
Okay.
Okay, could you state your name for the record and
Alex.
come forward, and if you could just come and make the statement into a,
Alex Barton, Royal Apartments, LLC.
yeah.
Provided that it meets the candles required for safety, we would be willing to meet 3,000 for warmth temperature.
Now, you still have planning on this for the overhead lights?
That's correct, in
And
the
that
parking
is-
lot.
I don't see that any kind of historic there, and I think you have to go back and look at that. You also had those at 200 watts, which is a lot of lumens, and again, you were pointing, I think it was 4,000 K. Again, it does come in the 3,000 K. But the other point there is, I think it's at 20-foot poles, and we are only approving 12-foot poles recently in the district. So that means you gotta move them up, you gotta put more in.
So I was about to say, it's all a function of light spread. If you would prefer more poles at a lesser height and a lesser brightness,
Right.
we're willing to work with you guys on that. It's just, our assumption, this goes back 2 years ago, when those originally were brought in, was you would prefer less poles to be less disturbing. If you guys would prefer more poles, we can.
It's the light overshoot, and, you know, when you get up to, 20 feet is really high, you're gonna have a lot of overshoot.
So
And
2 years ago, we didn't see you folks, you were before planning board. So it never came here to historic for those kinds of approvals.
Correct.
So that's where some of your differences are gonna be.
That's fine. We're willing to work with you guys on either one, whatever you prefer. If you want more poles, I don't have an issue with that.
Personally, that's what I would.
Provided that it doesn't undo any previous approvals.
So you wouldn't have any previous approvals for us on,
Previous
if you're putting new lighting in the historic district, it's a certificate of appropriateness from us, and we kind of trump planning board on any of that stuff, because it's in the district.
I understand that. Essentially, we want to work with the town. We want to keep the project moving forward.
Yep. As do we, right?
So I'm not sure what we have currently approved, but if
If it's currently approved at the planning board, and then we had to change the plan to do more polls, would we then have to go back to the planning board?
Yes, you would. But again, it was a dual, it's always a dual approval when it's in the historic district. So, I sit on the planning board, and I know I sat in on the hearings 2 years ago and made the comments at the time that any changes that would have to come before us on historic district as well, just because you're in the district. It's not just a matter of a planning board approval on that. It's not just a notice of intent on a demolition. It's really a certificate of appropriateness. So I personally echo Bob's concerns on the poles and height, but style as well. Those are, I think, too modern for the historic district, in my own opinion. Anything else, Bob? Yeah, me too.
Do you have any additional signage that you're gonna put on the name of Royal Apartments or whatever?
Currently, no.
No, okay. That would have to come before us.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah, we're doing this in phases, getting certain
Understood.
aspects of it.
Yeah. I think that was my notes.
Okay. Lynn, do you have anything?
Let's do the landscape.
Brendan?
Just a quick question on the accessible parking. You mentioned PT. What are you going to put in railings, I would assume as well? Would that be also PT?
Correct. Yes.
What does that?
Pressure treated.
Oh,
Just pressure treated.
Yeah, I'm sorry, pressure treated.
that was a new vinyl.
Most likely we'll have one railing up in the lower one as well, so, but it'll be all in pressure treated material. They're
Julie,
redoing that whole ramp
Yeah.
with a turn, okay?
Yes.
Julie, any questions?
No, I think Bob just about covered.
Okay. So I think before we go any further, anybody from the public that would like to comment or ask any questions? All right.
Before you close, Mary, can I just ask one question?
Yep.
For the landscaping elevation, would you like to see a rendering, or are you looking for a rendering on the parallel street side?
Correct. Well, in the front too, all around.
So that you
Where
can
the-
see
the
what it's gonna
fence-
look like from the street.
Okay.
That's
The
essentially
street view is
what
we really need to see.
we get concerned with.
Okay.
So to give you an opportunity to rework kind of the lighting, see what you can do, see what the lumens.
Yeah, I'd like to
what-
request
what
a
will-
continuance.
Right,
if I
what
could.
will match. Would you folks be available on the July 26th
No?
July 26th? Yeah, we can do that.
So that's
I'll make someone available from my team, that's all.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
Landscape rendering.
that's the same night that we continue the snowing project too, so.
Can we go first? They got it tonight, can we go first?
We'll see what we can do. Anything else before we continue the public hearing to the next?
I want to bring up one, I'm sorry.
Yes, no, please.
In talking to the neighbors who obviously know my building very well, they brought to our attention that the shutters were actually I'm misquoting here, but a forest green when it was originally approved in the 1985 approval. And honestly, we think that would look great. We don't want to go against what the board had previously approved, but we'd like to bring it back to what it was historically done.
The board approved it under the non-applicability as black. So would the board also,
Can we add it to this one?
We probably can because it's certificate of appropriateness, so.
And I think, and green, I think, was some color.
It was.
And we had talked about green, I think.
we
at
did,
the-
we
at the
had
meeting.
mentioned it, and then I think we just landed on black.
So, I don't think that's a problem, so we can certainly address that for the
Yeah,
next
just,
meeting. Yep,
I thought it was a nice suggestion, but I also don't want to slow down for it.
understood, understood. If it's suggested that it has to be republished, it's certainly, there's time before the 26th if we had to add it on,
Whatever you guys.
so,
Are the only two items to be addressed the landscape rendering and the lighting?
I believe so, I think
I
that.
did want clarification on how that handicap surface would be.
Okay.
And how that would fit in with this
Mhm.
gravel or the shell.
Was there anything
Well
else?
said. Yeah.
Everybody's okay with the black lettering and the other lantern style that they just
Yes.
showed us?
Yeah,
I mean, certainly
I really like that.
Oh, good, thank you.
See if there's anything else here. The plans for the street views, we've talked about the fence that's remaining. Do we know what fence you're gonna put around the retaining wall? I don't think we talked about that.
We didn't talk about that.
It would be wood, it would be wooden, and I believe it would be cedar.
So typically, in the district, we do plank, we request plank as opposed to
Yes.
the stockade.
No, absolutely. That's what it would be.
And then, did we talk about what the materials of the retaining wall? Do you know
It's
what
a,
those
yep,
are
it's a
gonna
paver block.
be? Okay,
Mhm.
in a gray like is shown on that,
Correct.
in that picture.
Correct.
Is that viewable from the street?
Parallel street.
From parallel, that's okay. Just, I know it's somewhat hidden, I
Mhm.
wasn't sure how viewable.
It is viewable from there.
Any other questions, comments? Those items are all okay with with members of the board?
Yeah.
Okay, if there are no comments from anybody from the public at this point, then I would entertain a motion to continue the public hearing,
I moved to continue the public hearing.
July 26th,
26.
no earlier than
6 o'clock?
6 p.m.
6 p.m., right?
Okay, so Bob has made the motion. Is there a second? Julie has made the second to continue the public hearing to July 26th, no earlier than 6 p.m. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you in July.
Let's see what I have in front of me.
Yeah.
All right. And the next matter we have is public hearing, HH 2023-13, Charlie Whitcomb, owner, through his agent Sean Smith with A&S Construction, has filed a notice of intent. The project proposes a partial demolition to demo the existing foundation and replace with new. Structure is over 100 years old according to the town assessing records and is located at 106 Chatham Road, map 42, parcel E5-7. Thank you, good evening. Could you state your name for the record for us, please?
Sean Smith.
And if you could walk through the application, please.
Sure. So we're just looking to save the structure that you can see in the pictures. We're going to start by putting a foundation underneath of it, which is where my role comes in. And it's going to be an 8-foot basement, standard, nothing special, just to be under the perimeter of what you can see there now. No change of elevation, no moving the building.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Brendan, you want to start?
I have none.
Bob?
Do you know what's happened with this building in recent years? Was there a fire or something?
So what it was, there was an individual that owned it,
Yeah.
and he's not on the Cape, and apparently he had bad health issues or something. So it just sat, and the power was on, everything was on for a long time.
Yeah.
And at some point, Glenn Vine purchased it from him.
Okay.
And then Charlie, who's here with us, is the new owner.
Oh, okay.
And he's going to be basically just restoring what you see there. I think you're doing clapboard and everything that's there now?
Yeah, white shakes. It's gonna bring the old structure back to its original state.
Okay.
I may change the shapes to clear shapes, we'll give you that point. But all the trim details are gonna stay the same. Window layouts are gonna stay the same. Not changing anything. No
Yeah.
roof line changes.
Yeah. It looked like there was an addition on the back that got torn off, or?
There was, that was when Glenn had first purchased the building. His intent was to rebuild that.
Oh, okay.
I think Charlie's researched it and is content with the, just what's left now.
What's left on the footprint?
For 80, yeah, it's essentially gonna be an ADU building.
Yeah.
And I think the max of that now is 1,000 square feet. But that meets,
Oh,
what's
okay.
there now meets the requirements.
Oh, okay.
So if Sean gets to do the foundation, then I would use that as potential space down below.
Okay.
And I'm under that 1,000 square feet. So what you see in the pictures is actually what's gonna be the footprint of the
building.
The new foundation.
So one question for me, I mean, it's nice to see a building starting to get some attention that it clearly desperately needs.
Yeah, right.
We do typically ask if it's possible, if the foundation could get a brick veneer where you can see it from the street.
Yeah.
We're pretty standard in asking for that.
Sean knew that was gonna be the case, and we're all for that.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect.
I pass by it frequently and have been wondering what's going on with it.
We're trying.
No, appreciate it,
No,
the way
it's
you've cleared
great.
out the
Yeah.
area. Just out of curiosity, this little building here, this part of the building, you're saving this?
Yes, correct.
Okay, cool.
It's actually in more decent shape than it seems to be.
Okay.
It needs some sistering and shoring, but
Right.
Well, the building's pretty straight when you take measurements around. It's a good
Yeah.
candidate for a restore, yeah.
What are you gonna do for windows?
something that complies. I'm gonna go Pella. I think Pella windows are, in my sense, probably the most historic looking newer window to fit the building.
Are you gonna keep them 6/6?
Yeah, there's two styles there. I didn't even notice that.
I like the 4/1 or the 2/1.
That's fine with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's even like 2/2 in one of these
Yeah,
pictures.
there are.
Right.
No.
In the left part of the
Something that
building.
needs, again, I wanna bring the nostalgia back to the house.
Right.
Yeah.
So something that blends in nicely.
Yeah.
You're gonna keep the front door, right?
So there's a note on the front door from one of the neighbors that says, "Dear contractor or builder, if you're gonna throw this door away, please contact me." But I haven't contacted yet because I want to keep the front door.
You
Okay.
should. That's
Yes.
a
Strip and
gorgeous
dip and
door.
restore it
Yeah.
and leave it.
Just
It's a
please
cool-
stop.
Right, right, yeah.
Right. No, that's good.
Funny you say that.
Here for that.
How's the chimney on it?
Right.
Is there a chimney? I
Is there a
don't-
chimney?
I don't
Oh,
think
wow,
so.
'cause I don't see a
No,
chimney.
Not anymore. I think there, I think there
It must
was.
have had one at one
There was in the
time.
back section, yeah, which is
Probably
gone.
fell down a long time ago.
I think that's,
No, you can see the
So-
hole in the roof, actually, I think.
Yeah, no, I can see a hole.
Yeah. Possibly two holes.
Yeah.
So one thing that is true, which the only thing we can really comment on tonight, the only thing we can permit tonight is the foundation.
Right.
Because nothing else. So when you get to the next stages, we could recommend you do another notice of intent that is broader in scale.
Yeah,
So that anything that's like for like, anything that's not like for like, we would, you know, just so that you're covered on your demo.
Yeah, I want to bring in a rendering, rendering drawing and then say which window I'm going to use and.
Perfect.
awesome. That's great.
Yeah, so once he gets through his, I mean, there's time, permit's got to get approved, so we're
Right.
talking 2 months down the line, I'll
Right.
apply for another
Mhm.
meeting and we'll go through the motions of that.
Awesome.
So your feelings, just quickly, I can see there's some red cedar and some asphalt here, but weathered wood is typically accepted as an asphalt shingle, is that correct?
I mean, the color,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And then the black, I heard you talking a lot about the black tonight. If it was a black window, is that something that you don't like?
It tends to be trendy, a home like this, I mean, white windows
White
to me
windows.
Light windows.
would be more classic.
It's such a,
Would
it's
you be
the white
okay
and
to
green.
go to black?
What's that?
He's just saying, would it be okay to go to black? I was wondering the same thing.
Really, it's gonna have to be on another
Yeah, it's another
application
one, yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
Just trying to get ahead of it.
I know, and to be honest with you, the Bank Street had the same issue.
Yeah,
So that's why they were literally starting tomorrow because
yeah.
they were
Yeah.
delayed a month because
Sure.
they didn't, that wasn't on the original application, so we had to have them come in.
Can I throw one thought in about the windows?
Sure.
So the windows, black sash,
Yes.
rather than having everything be black and really chunky.
It would just be.
Some of the older windows used to be just the sash was black.
Correct.
So something to consider when you're looking at that.
Gotcha. Yeah, so the pellet's really narrow, and I'll bring a sample in when we get to the next meeting, but really narrow on the outside, and then the sashes are black. The trim on the exterior, that would be white.
Yeah, the historic still would be white.
Correct.
and
The
all
side
joints.
casing
Yeah.
would be white, yep.
Okay, yeah.
If I did a pediment or something small up top, it'd
Yeah.
all be white.
I think what we're seeing is the windows, they're coming all of it black.
Right.
Right.
And it gets really chunky, and then you're slapping a piece of white casing on the side, and, you know, and all that's proud of that, so it
Well,
just looks
yeah.
chunky.
A lot of the old windows were darker colors, and they were trimmed out.
Yeah, they used to be dark greens, Victorian
Yeah.
period, they used to be particularly dark green.
Right, yeah.
Not, or brown, but not black usually.
Wasn't this one green at one point? Am I crazy?
Oh, the shutters are green.
I
Yeah,
bet
that's
this
what I was
house
gonna
is
say.
a little
The
bit of
shutters are
everything.
It
I
does.
think it is, but I do,
No, that's the nice
it did
shutters.
have they had the old
Yeah.
green shutters,
Boy, the shutters look in better condition than the house.
right?
That's bad.
Okay. So are we, anything else before we close?
Nope.
All right.
Move to close the public hearing.
So Bob's made a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Linda seconded to close the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any in opposition? Hearing none, motion carries. And then we would entertain,
Oh, I'll stab at it.
all right, Lynn.
Okay, case number HH 2023-13. Filing date, May 18th, 2023. Date of hearing, June 21st, 2023. Property map parcel 106 Chatham Road, map 42 parcel E5-7, owner Charlie Whitcomb, applicant Sean Smith. BCRD recording information BK34768 PG222. Subject building, year built is 1815. Source determinate town assessing records. Demolition proposed partial. New project proposes a partial demolition to demo existing foundation and replace with new. historic significance listed in town historic property inventory. Proposed demolition would not destroy or substantially diminish the historic value and significance of the subject buildings. Determination, no demolition delay. Conditions, none?
Brick
Just
veneer?
brick veneer on the
Brick
front,
veneer.
Oh, yeah.
facing the street.
Right.
Veneer on the front facing the street.
Good call.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion has been made by Lynn, seconded by Bob. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any in opposition? Hearing none, motion carries.
Good.
Thank you.
Good luck
Guys,
with
don't
it.
work on the house.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
great
thank
to
you
see
for-
something happening.
Have a good evening, thank
You
you.
too.
You as well. Thanks for hanging in there tonight.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Put this together. Back in this file. And
So much easier when it's all rewritten
oh,
for you.
it's lovely.
Yes.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
That was a great addition from Mr. Eidman. Okay, next matter on our agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes for May 17th, 2023. Did anyone have any questions or changes? Nope. Okay, so do we have a motion to approve?
Approve the minutes. of
Motion's been made by
May
Julie,
17th.
Second.
seconded by Bob. All in favor?
Aye.
Any in opposition? Hearing none, motion carries. Mass Dot request for comments regarding the proposed project on Route 28.
About time.
And I saw this in my packet, and where did it end up?
Can
mine?
you show us any plans other than that?
No, I don't think so.
Do you want mine, Mary?
It wasn't. It was
If you don't mind,
touched
I dropped it someplace. I just want to glance at it. I read it and I looked at it, I just didn't see it on the back.
Okay, they're putting it on the north side of the road.
Which probably makes more sense. I think there might be a smidge more room on
I
that side.
think that's
It's gonna be
what
tight.
it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That hill there.
it's gonna be
it's
tight either
tight.
way,
It's
right?
really, it's gonna take some work.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're gonna have to take part of the hill and put in a retaining wall.
Well, I think so. I was looking at both sides, but
I don't know how they could avoid it.
the only thing, is there anything historic? I mean, the houses are definitely
There's a couple
over
of
a
old,
hundred
yeah.
years, but I don't think they're set back and stuff. I don't
Yeah.
think it'll affect them.
Yeah, I don't think there are any,
There's one right there on Witchmere Bluffs, is that what it is? That's, as you go up the hill from the Saquatucket side and go in the road, that first house, it's pretty close to the edge.
Okay.
but if the sidewalk's on the north side, I'm trying to think what's on the, I'm trying to walk the street. And I'm trying to think what else is on
You've
that
got
north
bushes
side.
on the other side and,
You've got the hydrangeas in front of,
Yeah.
you've got the church there, the Christian Science Center.
probably one of the reasons they're doing it on that side is because you've also got Outer Cape there. Outer
Yeah.
Cape Healthcare.
Mm. I tend to think there's probably more space on that side
Well,
than there is on the other side.
there's more of the river Andrews River going under on
Mhm.
that side. It's
Mhm.
really wide open there. And
Yeah.
they'd have to do a lot of destructive work in wetlands.
True.
Yeah,
So on the other side, I think it's just.
which makes sense.
So, Yeah,
makes sense.
I think we're fine with it. I'm fine with this.
Yeah.
We wanna,
So I would suggest if we do want to comment, that whenever we comment, we should also sent through administration as well, so that they're aware of what our comments are. Did we want to send a letter in support, or do we want to?
I think it's just basically no comment.
Okay, fine, then we'll pass that along. If Rachel, when you're hearing this, if you could just draft a letter from us that is, the consensus is that we have no comment on the sidewalk installation. Do we want to formalize that with a vote?
Sure.
So motion made by Julie
Sure, yes.
To not comment.
Do not comment.
To not comment.
On the letter.
Nice, Julie.
and
Nice, Julie.
who wants to make the second?
Second.
Lynn will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
None in opposition, motion carries. So we have, the next item on our agenda is to vote for our representative to CPC from Historic.
I thought it was Bob.
It is currently Bob. He is at the point where we need to request that he be reappointed for a continuing term.
I move we reappoint Bob.
Does
So-
Bob want to be reappointed?
Yeah, does Bob want to be?
Okay, okay.
So,
Okay.
motion has been made by Lynn, seconded by Julie to nominate Bob. To continue as HDHC rep to CPC. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any in opposition? Hearing none, motion carries.
Congratulations. Bob.
Yay, thank you.
Just note, I did get my reappointment too, because my 3 years on the store was up.
Okay,
So did I.
You did, yeah. So I
okay,
just have to sign that, be sworn in.
that's fine, you're continuing members.
They want you to make an appointment.
I know.
So,
and-
you're continuing members, you've been
Yes.
sworn in once before, so you're okay, but
Do we have to
do it as soon as you,
do we have to do our ethics
as soon as you
every
can.
year?
It's every 2 years?
Yeah.
That's what I thought,
And
okay.
so you should keep track of when you're
Because
due, I think.
yeah.
It's
There's a
different.
list.
Yeah, the way they do
For,
it now.
what was the question?
The ethics
Ethics
class
online,
online.
ethics
So
course,
typically, municipal employees do it every odd year. So
Okay.
every 2 years on the odd year. So this was the year we are supposed to do the,
We can do it like
And-
every
and I've
year.
done-
I feel like we have done it
I've
every
always done it every
year.
year because I didn't want to be like out of.
Well, I think they just changed it too. There's a new,
it's
There's
a new
whole
portal.
tab,
it's a new
yeah.
portal and it's all
Okay.
digital.
I'll go on
now,
to,
so-
I'll go on.
So if you,
So
if you need the
I got
link,
recertified
I need
in
a link.
February, and I submitted it to the.
Yeah, same here.
You just Google state ethics, Massachusetts state
Okay.
ethics
Okay.
Well, I have a little
class.
news.
you do?
Yes, David Spitz is resigned from Brooks Academy Commission, and
Okay.
guess who's gonna end up taking that one over?
Yippee.
Yippee.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Yeah, I know.
Good luck.
I expressed my lack of knowledge for what is necessary, and
He resigned off maybe totally, or just
Yep.
from the?
off totally. He's tired. He's had it. He's worn out.
Understood. That,
And for a variety of reasons, it appears that I'm going to be the one that's going to have to take over for him.
well, we wish you
So,
luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and any help everybody can give me, I would greatly appreciate.
Just remember, it's another town committee,
Mhm.
and it's managing a town building,
Yep.
so. Correspondence and briefings, I don't know that we have anything else. Anybody else have any updates?
None.
Thrilled that Bob is back on CPC.
We have an affordable housing
I-
forum next
Oh.
Tuesday.
You do?
The
26th.
At what time, Brian?
I think
should know.
I
Hold on a
have
second.
one in the file if you need.
Yeah, I'm
it.
guessing now. I think it's the 27th, whatever day that is. That was
Thursday.
Oh, it's Thursday.
Yeah, that's
There
what
you
I
go.
thought.
What time?
Sorry.
It's
Uh,
what time is it?
It
6?
should be at 6.
At where?
Oh, I don't know.
You're catching me off guard. There's a lot
I'm
of
sorry,
questions.
just
It's okay, I'm sorry.
Come on, Brendan.
I'm cracking under pressure.
Here, I can look it up. It should be, is it posted?
Yeah. I'll get you all that information.
What are we
You're
looking
gonna
at?
beat me
Get to
to
the
it?
calendar
Oh,
before
yeah,
you-
I'm already locked up.
Let's see.
So I got it right here.
Calendar. The calendar's not popping up.
What I missed?
Didn't they have a couple of these a couple months ago?
So it's right here. It's the Affordable Housing Trust Public Forum. And it's at 100 Oak Street, the community center. It's Tuesday, June 27th. Yeah, 6:30 to 8:30. Yeah, it's Tuesday. Yeah.
It's on the Tuesday, the 27th.
Mhm.
Oh, there it is. It's under community events and not under public hearing, public meetings.
That's why I couldn't find, when they had one of these, or a couple of these before.
Well, it's actually right on the main page, the bottom link.
Yes, but I would think if your meeting as well, I would think you would post it in both places.
I'll check in with that.
I would double check on that, just because it's not on the public meeting page.
Yeah, it isn't. I will double check with that tomorrow. Thank you. I'm glad I brought it up. Perfect.
Oh, and there's a conservation department pollinators and birds walk
Hmm.
on the 29th. Just sharing.
Yes.
Nothing. I don't have anything else to report that I can possibly think of through this recording to Rachel. If she could double check and see if there's anything on for a meeting on the 19th that I am just not available, so to make sure that if there is, then all four of you are available for the 19th. And if not,
I'll have to check that.
We may have to
I
ask.
have to do the chair.
You'll do
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, now we have to have a
Bob's
meeting.
there. As long as Bob's there, I'm good.
Yes, and our July meeting will be the time that we would reorganize. Once we're all reappointed again, so we reorganize in July. So anyone interested in taking over the chair is welcome.
You can add that to your list.
No.
You're all welcome.
It'll be just, you'll do just.
Okay, so that being said,
You know what's Thursday is CPC forum.
yes, on the same week.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's on the
I think
Thursday.
Bob voted me in as the vice chair last year.
If there's nothing else, we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion's been
I
made by
second.
Julie, seconded by Lynn. All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Hearing none in opposition, motion carries. Thank you, folks.